Hey guys, welcome to another video, and today we're going to be discussing the patch notes, the October 20th Shadow of Olympus patch notes, and I'm going to be discussing strictly the balance changes only. I'm not going to be talking about any of the artwork or the new game mode. I'll link the game mode VOD that you guys can check out from the Smite game VOD. So let's get right to it. Item changes here. Frostbound Hammer reduced health from 400 to 325. Definitely a warrior intended nerf. A lot of warriors picked this up, if not almost all of them. And having 75 less health in teamfights is going to hurt a decent amount. Hardwood Amulet reduced magical protection from 60 to 50. A guardian intended nerf there, where a lot of guardians will either rush Hardwood Amulet against mage heavy team comps, especially like if you're Poseidon in the middle lane, you'll want to pick up Hardwood Amulet first just to be able to survive his initial burst. So it's going to make them a little less tanky against gods like that. Mystical Mail reduced health from 300 to 220. Now, Mystical Mail is already an expensive item at 2,850 health. And so the Mystical Mail health reduction and the Frostbound health reduction is going to hurt a lot of warriors. That's a total of about 155 health. And not being able to sit in the backline of the enemy with that extra 155 health, warriors are going to have to be more meticulous about when they go in, how long they stay in, and when they need to peel back, not having that 155 health. Pestilence increased healing reduction from 20% to 25% health. Now, I think competitively, teams were adapting really well to healer comps such as Raw Hell, Aphrodite, even with Odin picks, Sobek picks, and their itemization, having multiple weakening curses online, having a Pestilence, and even having a Brawler's Beatick in the jungler. Now, this little buff there, increased from 20 to 25% of the Pestilence, is going to make teams that already go these anti-healing items to be that much stronger, and it's going to discourage healers a little bit more. Either way, where they nerf in the Hardwood Amulet and the Sovereignty next, they buff in Pestilence. So, a little up and down in that regard. Sovereignty reduced physical protection from 55 to 50, not that big of a nerf. People in Guardians are still going to pick that up. Looking at the god changes here, Athena, Defender of Olympus, which is her ultimate, going from 90 seconds at rank 1 to 110 at rank 1, all the way down to 90 maxed out. Now, they wanted to hurt her early game, and I feel like her kit doesn't really involve using her ultimate that much, as opposed to her other abilities with her taunts, with her dash taunts, with her blink taunts, and just straight up walking to you and taunting you with follow-up from the mage. So, the only thing this is going to discourage is running Athena in the soul lane. Athena, for the teams that like Athena in the support role, they're still going to pick up Athena to utilize her dash taunt, blink taunt, walking up and taunt. And it's going to hurt more teams that like to run Athena in the solo lane, because obviously you're just sitting there farming and not having that 20-second extra cooldown is going to hurt a little bit, but I think for the teams that like Athena, they're still going to run her. Bellona, they fixed a little bit of a bug issue, apparently. Giannis, nice nerfs here coming out of Giannis. Giannis and his allies can no longer enter portals while stunned, crippled, or rooted. Every time a Giannis would portal through the wall, standing right next to it, and let's say we get Agni Bomb stunned, he would just walk right through it anyway while stunned, and you would see the damage go over. You would see the CC over the wall, and it would be very annoying to deal with the Giannis. Now, because of that CC, gods are going to have to start using beads if they want to not get CC chained until they die. So, a good little nerf there. Now, his threshold also got nerfed, which is his 3. Reduce phase flow from 20 to 40% to 25% at all ranks. Some people like to max this out last, some people like to max this out second. Me, personally, I like to max this out after the Unstable Vortex right away. And so it's going to hurt the mid-game for people that do like to do that. 15% nerf is not going to discourage Giannis usage at all, but it's going to make it a little easier to deal with his slow a little later on in the game, around the Fire Giants and all those fights around there. So, Giannis, I like the nerf here. It's definitely needed. I'm not sure if this also applies to knockups, taunts, and fears, but I'm assuming it doesn't if they were very specific with it. So that's unfortunate if that doesn't count. But either way, this is a nice nerf. Definitely in the right direction for Giannis. Capri Rising Dawn, which is his 2 and his main clear, is increased mana cost from 50 to 70 to 50 to 90. This isn't going to really hurt his laning phase with the Hunter during the dual laning phase. But what it's going to hurt more is the middle laning phase, once you're like level 5 plus, always roaming around, contesting mid harpies. Because at level 3, you have 1 point in every single ability, right? So once you're level 4, you're going to have 2 points in your Rising Dawn, which is only 5 extra mana, so it's not going to hurt during that laning phase. But once you're level 7 or level 9, and if you're level 9, you save that ability at level 8 to have maxed out Rising Dawn and then 2 points into your ultimate. That's where you're going to start seeing this little bit of an increase. It's not going to be that much anyway, especially once you have Hardwood Amulet, so not that big of a nerf. Rama, they fixed some bug issues. So for some hunters that's seen these bug issues now, it's going to encourage more Rama usage. Scylla, her Crush, which is her main wave clear, reduced mana cost from 70 to 110 all the way down to 60 to 80. It's going to encourage a little bit more Scylla usage in ranked. For teams that already like to run Scylla in competitive, they're obviously going to keep running Scylla competitively. Now, the teams that didn't like to run Scylla competitively, I don't think this is going to encourage them because her abilities are a little bit difficult to land. So the teams that aren't playing Scylla, it's not going to look at this buff and be like, well, now I'm going to play Scylla. So it's just about a comfortability. I think Scylla was already in the right place with her Crush, because her Crush does an obnoxious amount of damage. So I think the mana was fine the way it was. And the players that didn't want to play Scylla because of how difficult her skill shots were to land are still not going to play Scylla unless they just want to see how much this really does help them. And if they get more comfortable with Scylla, then they're going to keep consistently playing it. So maybe this buff was just intended to encourage a little bit more Scylla usage in that regard. Sun Wukong got hit with a really huge nerf. Now, I looked at this reduced starting health from 480 to 450. Now, if you look at Sun Wukong real quick, I had to double check just to make sure. And looking at his stats, he does start off with 562 health up here. So I'm assuming this means 562 to 532. Right now I'm looking at a Reddit thread that this was posted in. So I'm assuming this is a typo. There's no warrior that even has less than 500 health out there. Looking at the Magic Cudgel, which is his 1. Increased mana cost from 50 to 70 to 50 to 90. A long time ago at max rank, his Cudgel used to cost 90, and then they nerfed it. Now they're buffed. Then they buffed it. Now they're nerfing it again. So it's gonna discourage Magic Cudgel leveling. Instead, Masters will increase mana cost from 50 to 60. Now, if you look at Sun Wukong's abilities really quickly here, the Magic Cudgel rank 1 does 80, maxed out to 40. You look at the Master's Will, 90, rank 1 to 290. So you're getting an extra 50 damage at max rank on the Master's Will. And now to go from 50 to 60 mana, and then to go from 70 to 90 from the 1, it's probably going to encourage Master's Will leveling more than the Magic Cudgel. So I don't think Wukong is going to be played less. I just think people are going to choose the Master's Will over the Magic Cudgel if they weren't already. Some players like to max out the Master's Will just for that extra bit of poke, whereas some players like the Cudgel to clear the way faster. What this could also allow is more usage of 72 transformations around the mid-game. You know, maxing out your Master's Will and your 72 transformations just to get a lot of burst damage on the laning phase. Could actually see a lot of play because of that Magic Cudgel nerf. Zeus getting a little bit of a nerf here. Let me go ahead and show the patch notes again. It has Aegis Assault, reduced projectile speed from 90 to 70. That's a little bit over 20% of a nerf. Over 0.2 of a second or so. So we'll see how that plays a factor. It's not really going to do much for some players. But for those that do have the reaction speed available to them, they're going to be able to adapt to that a little bit better. If there's ever coming around the corner, the Aegis Assault, they can easily dash away or use their escape a lot easier. Maybe use an active to get away from the slow from the chain lightning that's about to ensue afterwards. And yeah, so those are all the balance changes, and I'll just recap really quickly. So their intended nerfs this patch, their theme was to focus the Guardians and Warriors, more specifically the Warriors, and more specifically Sun Wukong. And they definitely did it. 155 health is going to hurt a lot of Warriors, especially the Bellona, the Osiris's of the world that are trying to dive your backline. So not having that 155 health, not going to be easy to deal with. I hope you guys liked this video where I discussed the patch notes. at the October 28th Shadow of Olympus. And if you guys did, please be sure to like the video, and I'll see you guys next time.